Hello and welcome to this video. This is me post-edit. I recorded a 40-minute long rambling video about the future of amplifications, and now I decided to shorten it down a bit. If you have a thought about my opinions or you have any opinions of your own, you can leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to be active there as much as I can. Okay, here we go. To me, rambling. Yeah. Yesterday I released my video on the Marshall ACM 2000, and it got me thinking again about something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And since I work with backline rental, I see from my point of view as a professional in the renting industry, or whatever you want to say, I don't see a reason for tube amps really of this size to exist anymore. Like, yeah, they are amazing and I love using them. Even the old guys now that come and rent stuff from us, they only use the power amp section. They use a band last year of guys in their 60s. They arrived to the show and they specified that they wanted some like Marshall stuff. They had a digital pedal board and they just used the power amp section of the amplifier live. That was the only reason the amplifiers was there, to have stage volume. And that's something we see more and more today, like bands of like Blink 182, Metallica, Megadeth. Blink uses Kemper, Metallica uses Axe-Fx, and Megadeth uses Quad Cortex. And for studio use, yeah, obviously, sound great. If you can push the volume, amazing, and you can get amazing guitar tones. But also, you have stuff like the Tonex that I'm using myself, and I have an HX Stomp also, and like in order to record my singles for Rec, Forever Chemicals, Just a Memory, for example, both of the songs are using this Marshall ACM 2000, but not with a mic cab. I recorded a capture when I had like 30 minutes. I was able to be loud in my apartment. I cranked the amplifier and I did a capture in my apartment, and that capture is what I'm using on Forever Chemicals, the version on Spotify, and Just a Memory on Spotify. Like the digital revolution is happening. Fender just released the Tone Master Pro, which shows that even Fender, the giant, probably the biggest like manufacturer in the industry, is going towards digital. And for me, one thing I'm thinking about is, what is Marshall doing right now? Like, yeah, they have the code stuff, but that's like the lower priced stuff. And if I really want to be a fly on the wall over at Marshall when they have a meeting, like discussing their future, because for live uses, there's no reason for this to exist anymore for live use. And for studios, heck yeah. But like, what is Marshall going to do in the future? Now Fender is moving to a Tone Master Pro. We have the Quad Cortex. We have a lot of like the Head Rush, Tonex, Helix. I can't remember if I say them all over again or whatever. Like, we have all these great units that are digital. They are small. Like the Tonex, for an example, I don't have it within arm's reach now, and I'm mic'd up so I can go away. But it's not that much bigger than my Samsung phone, and it weighs nothing. And to be honest, I can't hear a difference between the capture and the microphone recorded signal whatsoever. I A/B'd them when I did the capture for almost 10 minutes, and I can't hear a difference whatsoever. So why would I use the amplifier live then? If I were to play a live show today, I wouldn't bring the amplifier. I would bring the Tonex instead, because the Tonex sounds the same. It weighs nothing. It fits in my backpack, and I just need 3 cables in total and a tuner, and I can do a full-scale gig that I have the same sound as I do with my amplifier back home. I know I'm just rambling about this, but it feels like for me, I rent out stuff. I don't want the big things to die. I don't want the amplifiers to like stop being popular because I lose money on it, or the company I work for lose money on it. But there's no reason for them to exist anymore. And when I see some like certain companies, like now recently PRS released the MT100 amplifier, and that doesn't make sense to me. There are so few guys still on that like level that are using amplifiers live that we have enough. There is enough 100 watt amplifiers, and they don't need to exist anymore, I think. Maybe the 15 watt and the 25 watts amplifiers, smaller size launch box amps, they have an area in the market for a short time, maybe. Like the smaller guy that doesn't really want to fiddle with digital yet, but he's playing small clubs or he's playing at home. For him, the 15-25 watt amplifier is perfect. But what are we going to do with these ones? Like, they're going to be locked in studios. For me, personally, it's going to be a recording thing only. And I sold my dual rectifier because that amplifier just sounds awful when you use IRs on it, to my opinion, of course. And I can't push that amplifier at home to even be close to the level it needs to be to sound good. For me, as someone who plays guitar, and I played guitar for such a long time, my entire life is based around playing guitar. I work with backline rental for a living. I spend most of my time at home either recording music or playing guitar just for fun. And I don't see where this is going. Like, I hope Marshall buys up a company like Softtube that they have collaborated with before, and now, since Marshall now is Swedish, yay! Softtube is also Swedish, and they have collaborated before. And like, if I were product designer or product head over at Marshall right now, I would probably collaborate with Softtube and release a Code 2 or Code Pro or whatever it's going to be called. And it's just a small amplifier, digital amplifier, that is not really like, it's not going to do the whole like Tone Master Pro range, but it's a small amplifier like the Code. It's a really small amplifier with maybe a 15 watt power amp, and it's just the digital, and it's Softtube's Marshall version. So you switch between the plug-in in the actual amp. So let's say you have a Silver Jubilee, you have an JMP, you have a GSL or JCM 2000 or 900 or 800. You have all those amplifier digital versions, and you can connect it to a computer and then use your plugins if you have the plugins, and save your presets from the plugins into the amplifier and use them live. And also have a line out on the unit so that you can basically use your Softtube plugins live. And then after they have started to dabble in the digital technologies, maybe Marshall Group should buy Softtube and release a product that is basically the Tone Master Pro version from Marshall. So they would release the whatever it's going to be called, the Code Pro or something. Like, because Marshall makes, for me personally, my favorite amplifiers available. The only company that comes close to Marshall is Orange with the OR series. But I can 100% say that Marshall is my favorite brand of amplifiers. I have so much experience from playing Fenders, and they are not for me. I have owned a Mesa 550 Express. I own the dual rectifier. I own a Bugera. I had Peavey. I had a lot of amplifiers in my days, and I've been working in the industry for 8 years. digital stuff is coming, it's going to take over, and if old school companies doesn't adapt, they will die. Because people like me that like tube amps are not going to be around forever, and we can't buy new stuff every year. Like we are not a giant piggy bank of money. They need to always have a new customer incoming. And I think Marshall's been doing great with like DSL20 and the smaller amplifiers, but even the smaller stuff is going to go away in the future. And we are not like, if you asked me 7 years ago, will the digital revolution take over within the next 10 years? I would say no. But now, if I look in the future, will the digital stuff take over in the next 5 years? 100% yes. Because if you see the larger bands, the ones that have the big budgets on touring, they are switching to digital. Why should the smaller bands carry all their stuff when they can just use the small thing that fits in your pockets instead? And they sound so good now with capture technologies and stuff that there is no reason for amplifiers to exist. Like in the next 10 years maybe. So the only amplifiers that are going to exist are the boutique ones that are super expensive, and it's aiming themselves towards the old school like blue skies, like Bonamassa and stuff. Because digital is here to stay, and it's here to take over. It is the future. Digital amplification is the future, and that's a fact. Like everyone is using digital nowadays. Nobody's using the amplifiers anymore. Like the quad core is so great. The Kemper used to be awful, now it's amazing. The like head rush is good. The Helix is amazing. Tonex is the probably the best bargain product you can buy right now. You can also get stuff like Bias FX like plugins, neural DSP plugins that cost so like a bit. Yeah, they cost them a bunch, but they're still great. If you're just playing at home and with using headphones, anyway, it's cheaper and easier to use a plugin than it is to use an amplifier. And one thing that they haven't been able to nail yet with the digital stuff is that even though the latency is really, really short, you still notice latency. But that is only a thing, like mostly the low end is not really the same in a digital as a like a real amplifier. But the kids that are growing up these days playing guitar, they have never played an amplifier. They are starting out with the digital stuff. So that is what they are used to. So when they start out with digital stuff, they are not going to go back to the real amplification later on. They're going to keep with what they prefer. And the only guys that prefer amplifier now or digital are the guys that, like me, that grew up with the amplifiers. Like, if I grew up as a guitar player today, if I were like 12 and started playing guitar today, no way in hell I would start out with an amplifier. I would buy a plugin, most likely. Or like the Tonex, well, it costs like 399 euros or something. It's cheaper to buy a Tonex than to buy a small head and a cab, or buy a small combo amplifier, unless you're talking about those really crappy combo amplifiers like HB Harley Benton ones, and the small, super small, crappy ones from like eBay and Amazon. Digital is here to stay. I would like to be a fly on the wall on the Marshall meeting to see what Marshall's coming up with next. And I think that's the end of what my rambling time here today. So yeah, if you have your opinions about what I talked about, leave them in below. And yeah, check out my Marshall video. I've been rambling on for 40 minutes in a row, apparently. Can I edit something out of this? That remains to see. If you enjoy amplifiers, use amplifiers while you can. Tubes might be outlawed in the European Union because environmental reasons and hazardous reasons. So yeah, they're going to go away sometime. Enjoy it while you can, and maybe start looking towards digital if you're still stuck with the old stuff. Digital is great nowadays. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment section below. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and hopefully I will see you again another time.